Hello, good evening, and welcome. I, I'll tell you what, I'm loving this. This is a nice life here. At the moment, I'm with my dad. I got my dad staying with me, and also my wife is watching wrestling because she's a big wrestling fan. And um, and I usually have a lot of shows on and stuff like that, but I only got one tonight, so I'm glad about that. I must press on now because we got to get going. I want to talk about tonight about bullying in school because we're doing a thing this week where we're doing different titles about children's behaviour and stuff like that. So I really want to talk with Warren about bullying because it's a big issue, and it
Yeah,
still is.
it's a huge
What?
issue.
Yes, Warren, because your daughter been through it. Because you talked to me many times on here, and
Yeah.
she's been through a lot of bullying, didn't she?
Yeah. Yeah. She last fall, it was one of the things that prompted her desire for suicide was that she's not only being excluded through the bullying, but a couple of the kids were telling her that she shouldn't live anymore. And that really damaged her psyche and kind of gave her the ideas to hurt herself. And so bullying can have a profound effect, particularly when kids are at that age and require that social network in order to determine their self-worth and that sort of thing. It's a it's a pandemic of its own. Bullying, it has a massive impact. You look in the United States with the effect that bullying has had in terms of mass shootings and that kind of stuff that follows kids being ostracized and physically assaulted and emotionally beaten up. This is a huge problem that we have to deal with. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kids need to develop a thicker skin. They can't all go around protected all the time. I am not an advocate for safe space culture or anything like that, but we need to address the issues of children being so cruel to each other. And it's taken that next step right now where it's moved online and kids can do it anonymously and they feel so much more comfortable to say things that they never would have said before. And because kids can't defend themselves anymore because then they get in trouble for bullying, those sorts of things, there's no retribution. So it feels like kids can do it without consequence. And that's the big problem.
The trouble is, children when they go to school, they don't deserve to be bullied though.
No.
Whatever you are, if you're like colored, whatever religion, whatever,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be bullied. No child should be bullied. And the trouble is, do you think schools are doing enough at the moment in time about bullying? Because I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're addressing it enough. Um, I mean, in Canada, it's certainly something that they focus on. They have anti-bullying days and those sorts of things, but they have expanded, particularly in British Columbia, the province that I live in. They've expanded class sizes so much, right? A single teacher now has 28 to 30 kids that they have to look after, right? They're not capable of monitoring all of the interactions that are happening amongst the kids, right? It's not like the days of 14 to 18 kids in a classroom. You now have 10 more. Like you're doubling the size of a classroom. And so there's no way for a teacher to be able to monitor that. And so it's not, I wouldn't put it so much on the schools, it's on our government system not supporting educators to have the resources to be able to deal with these types of issues. Add in the amount of English as a second language resources that are required, special needs and learning disability resources that are required, and teachers are overwhelmed to a point where they can't deal with these sorts of things. So I will put it back on our governments for not doing enough through our school system to protect kids from these sorts of things. But kids at the same time need to learn to address and be able to deal with criticism of who they are and how they behave, because that's how they're going to become better over time. But they shouldn't be dealing with it from a personal attack perspective where it's belittling and physically harming them or doing emotional damage. So as a parent, it's our responsibility to teach our kids how to take criticism and make themselves better, but not to the extent that they're willing to that they can accept being bullied and physically and emotionally harmed.
When I was bullied at school, I tried to report it. I'm talking about years ago now when I went to school,
Yeah,
and and all I got was, "Oh, stop telling lies, stop telling porkies,
right.
tattle," and things like that. And the trouble is, when you were bullied back then, you were bullied to
Yeah,
the point. I know somebody who actually committed suicide because of bullying, and
yeah,
it happens. And the
it
trouble
does
is,
too much.
it does. A lot of people actually commit suicide. But see, the trouble is, Warren, because your daughter's been through it,
Yeah,
and the trouble is, does she ever come home to you and go, Dad, I'm just getting fed up with them. It's driving me crazy, but I don't know what to do. I go to the teachers, I do all this, and I'm still getting bullied.
she hid it from us. That was the problem. Is she hid because she was ashamed of it. She felt shame that she was being ostracized. She felt that she had done something wrong to deserve it. And so that was on my wife and I for not having had that conversation earlier, that she needed to feel comfortable coming to us, that being bullied is not the fault of the victim. And a lot of what happens in today's society is victim shaming, whether it's physical assault or rape or bullying. Victims are blamed for it, and we need to get rid of that first, so that victims feel comfortable coming forward to talk about it and deal with the issue and that sort of thing. And so Allie hid it for 6 weeks until she got to the point where she didn't want to live anymore. And then through conversations over about a week, we uncovered that she was being bullied at school, but she was hiding it the whole time. What really triggered it for us is that she was starting to do the same things that was happening to her at school to her older sister. And it was
Right.
such a shift in her personality that we're like, where are you getting this? Where is this coming from? And through conversations around that, we were able to uncover what was happening at school.
You can always look at her body language sometimes, as well, can't you?
Yeah.
To find out if she's in.
Yeah, when they start to hide and
Yeah.
and shrivel up and avoid any attention, trying to make themselves smaller so that nobody notices them. There's some.
Did you feel?
There's
Did you, as a parent, or Warren, did you
Mhm.
feel that because you didn't want to talk to you and tell you the problem, did you feel smaller by thinking, why not she come to me for help?
Yeah, I felt ashamed, honestly. I felt ashamed that my daughter didn't feel comfortable coming to talk to me about that. I had to get rid of that shame. I had to let it go. But at the time, I felt incredibly ashamed that this was happening to my daughter, that I took responsibility that I had allowed this to happen, that I hadn't developed a close enough relationship with her to make her feel comfortable to bring these things to me, and that I wasn't protecting her. I felt like I had failed as a dad. I mean, add into that she wanted to end her life because she didn't feel that life would ever get better. And that there was a whole pile of emotions there on me as a dad that I didn't know how to deal with. That it was a massive weight sitting on me. And I needed to get help and get past that in order to be able to help my daughter.
Also, well, the trouble is, sorry everybody, I'm just trying to go through it quick tonight. The trouble is, also, it affects your mental health, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it affected mine for sure. It affected my relationship with my wife as well. We got, after 2 months of dealing with the issues with Allie, my wife and I's relationship started to collapse in on itself, and we were attacking each other for and blaming each other for the issues that were coming up. Because we were now brutally exposed to all of the problems that existed in our household. And it took a lot of working with a counselor for the two of us to accept each other and accept the situation we were in and get back on track with regards to working with each other to solve it.
Gosh. Let me tell you something. Hi, Steve. My name is Philippa. I I'm from the UK, near you. I was bullied for 2 years. I went to school, but I just sat in the common rooms all the time,
Yeah.
and in our library, because I was worried to go into the class because I was getting bullied all the time. I reported it to all the teachers. Then my parents reported it to the governors of the school. Nothing was done. I went into a time of depression and suicidal. In the end, I had enough. And at one particular time, I went to a governor's meeting one night, knocked on the door, and said, "I need to talk to you." After speaking to him for 15 minutes in front of some governors who I never knew, I finally told my story, and now there is no bullying in school. If there is any bullying in school that I've been to, they will actually be dismissed from the school. Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
A child who's 15, went to a school governors meeting and went in and because she was fed up.
Yeah, good for you, Philippa. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Very, very sorry that you had to go through that. But you know, congratulations on taking control of your situation and dealing with it and forcing others to address it and deal with it as well. And I'm glad to hear that they're dismissing kids from school for bullying. It's important that kids understand that there are consequences to those types of actions. And the parents at that point need to address that as well, because it is a gap in parenting if you're
Yeah.
allowing your child to treat other kids that way. One of my biggest fears as a parent is that my kid is going to be the bully. And I explain to them constantly what effect that would have on their mental health if they knew that they were damaging somebody else emotionally and causing them to want to hurt themselves or anything like that. It would be awful as a parent to know that your kid was the one doing damage like that.
Okay, so what should we do to help someone who's being bullied?
Yeah. I
What?
think the first step is open communication, making sure that they don't feel shame for the situation that they're in, right? You have to restore self-confidence in that situation. You focus on building the child back up, getting them to see their self-worth, getting them into activities and programs where they can start to build confidence again about themselves and feel like they are worthwhile and that they deserve to be on the planet, and address the bullying head on, right? Whether it's dealing with the other child's parents, whether it's dealing with the school, whether it's dealing with law enforcement, whatever you need to do, you have to be an advocate for your child, right? You have to represent them as if it's you who's being bullied.
Yeah, that's it. And what's your daughter like today?
Good days and bad days. It's still an issue. She's very volatile with regards to large emotions. So, as an example, I picked her up from a karate camp yesterday, and one of the first things she said to me was a lie, and she got caught in the lie. And I got upset as a parent, talking to her about how lying damages our relationship and it causes mistrust and these sorts of things. And she immediately spiraled because the shame that existed before from the bullying immediately popped back up again. So I now had to diffuse the shame, explain to her, this doesn't affect how much I love you or anything like that. I will always love you. What it does is it affects our ability to communicate, because we need to have open and honest lines of communication. And so I got her to calm back down again, but it took an hour to deal with it. So now every mistake she makes, she feels 10 times what a normal child would feel, because her emotions just immediately get out of control. And she immediately goes back to that place of self-hatred. And so I have to be very careful with how I deal with things. I can't just let things go, because she still needs to have instruction on what being a proper moral, ethical, and productive member of society is, right? but I have to be much more careful in the way that I do it.
Right. Okay. There you go. That was Warren. Thank you, Warren.
It's my pleasure. Anytime, Steve. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, brilliant. Sorry we got to finish tonight. Warren's got an appointment somewhere else. But listen, guys, we're back next week. Don't worry. And also, we're back tomorrow night with the wonderful Liz and so many Reverend Kelly. You remember him on Britain Got Talent, and we got a lot of people on tomorrow. So please tune in then. Thank you to Warren, and thank you to everybody for watching. And bye bye.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Warren, bye.